if you guys know anything about red wine, apparently you need to drink it by room temperature. But I'll give you one little hint. Room temperature in Australia is not the same as room temperature in France, in the castles. Today is 36 degrees. Do not drink red wine at room temperature. Put it in the fridge for half an hour before you open it up. The flavours will...
Spoken from current experience, I take it.
Welcome to Marketing with Vino, the edutainment business growth podcast, mixing education and entertainment to make growing your service business much more fun. Your hosts, Quinton Venter, online marketing expert, and Gabby Kowalski, creator of the Business Freedom Formula, have a glass of wine and share powerful and up-to-date strategies to help grow your service business fast.
Hey guys, this is episode number 9, Marketing with Vino. You're listening to myself, Quinton, and the most amazing Gabs.
Hey everybody, welcome to the call. Is it the call? Is that what we call it? Welcome to the chat.
Welcome to the chat.
Yeah. Excellent to have you here today. We wanted to have a chat to you about the life cycle of business. So for me personally, I remember years ago actually first learning about the life cycle of business from Tony Robbins at his Business Mastery event. And since then, I've adapted the process a little bit more, I think, just to really fit the small business owner versus the giant, which is kind of what he was referring to. But it does apply. And what I loved about it was when you know which stage you're in and you know the exact problems that stage naturally has and the solution to grow to the next level, then it just makes business growth so much easier. Because if you don't know that the problems you're having in your current stage of business are normal, you could easily fall into the mistake of freaking out, of thinking the worst, of worrying that you're on the wrong path, and effectively it stunts your growth, it stops you from moving forward, and it holds you in a pretty shit headspace.
Yeah.
So for me, identifying this life cycle was really cool because there's certain things that happen, especially in the first sort of 5 years of business, that are key, that are standard, normal things that are normal for everybody. And when you know they're there, it's no different to knowing that a human being grows a certain way. Like, for example, right, if you lived on a deserted island your whole entire life and you had no human interaction, you only interacted with animals, and they tend to grow up pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
And you say all of a sudden, say you're a man on this island, and all of a sudden, bang, stranded is a woman. And, you fall in love, and woohoo, says Quinton. And, there's attraction there. Somehow, the biology kicks in and you work out how to do the do. And then she gets pregnant and she gives birth. If you'd never experienced child raising before, it'd be pretty freaky, especially if you're comparing it to, the growth of a horse or a dog or any other, quite frankly, animal out there that seems to get their shit sorted a lot quicker than a human, yeah?
Yeah.
Like, you'd freak out that this baby just keeps crying, it's like floppy, completely insufficient, and it goes on for a long time. You'd probably start thinking, shit, I think this kid's broken. This can't be right. Like, this kid's been like this for months, and yet, the little piglets that were born 6 months ago, they're rocking it out. They're completely independent by now. So with business, it's that kind of thing. The life cycle of business gives you this insight into what is the standard normal growth of a business, no different to understanding what the natural standard growth of human beings are. Like, none of us, right, look at a 3-month-old baby and get shitty and frustrated because it's not exhibiting the behaviour of a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And if we do, I think we've got problems.
Yeah. Also like to add to that, when and this is just from personal experience with having a younger brother. There's 25 years difference between me and my baby brother, and oftentimes I've heard it where mum would say that no one wrote a manual on how to raise a baby, or the baby didn't come with a manual. And I can only imagine or assume that many parents would think that their child is so unique and the problems that they're experiencing are so unique, when they actually just realized that most parents go through the similar struggles with late nights, less sleep, baby being ill or having don't want to eat, and all these other complications that come with it. And in a business, we like to think that, but I'm so special. My business is not the same as yours. Mine is different. And oftentimes we actually get validation of having that sense of being that special, being in that special situation when, hang on, everyone is actually going through the same process, regardless if it's a multi-million or billion-dollar company or organization, or even if it's just a little corner shop down the road. They all started the same way. They started with the idea, and through the idea and the actual implementation, what they've done along the way of implementing it, that took a different route, and we'll get more into that later. But it's the fact is they all struggle with the same problems, whether it's been the first bit of cash flow coming in, or it's hiring your first staff member, or it is that first cultural experience, or the client onboarding process of losing your first client, having to fire your first client. I remember the first time I had to do that. It was freaking awesome. And But
was it really?
It really was. Afterwards,
Oh,
I was high-fiving myself before, and I was kind of shitting myself. But I think we're trying to make our business and our problems so unique. And with that, and saying that, we kind of forget that there is help out there, because this has been happening over and over with so many different people experiencing the same thing. We just need to go and ask for help, and oftentimes keep our eyes, ears, and noses open for what comes our way.
That's it. And look, honestly, just like no different to, having a kid, ideally you want to go to the people that have had them before that can give you guidance. And you know what? Whenever you're looking for advice, you should always look for advice from someone who has got great results, but also their process of execution was graceful, meaning that, their kids may have grown up well, but if their kids hate them, then you probably don't want to learn from them how to be a parent. Is that fair?
Yeah, 100%. I think you can go the whole military style, and the kid is disciplined, but in the meantime, the kid doesn't want to be around the family, kind of disowns the family for the treatment and so forth. But like you said,
the strategy may not be, unless you want your kid to hate you, which, each to their own.
Yeah.
The same with business, If you want to grow, you want to look to someone who has the results that you want. And that's as simple as it gets. And if they don't have the results that you want, so for example, I know business coaches that are brilliant at what they do, meaning they're great at teaching you sales and marketing. However, they themselves don't like their own business. They bitch about their clients, and they're overworked and they're unhappy. So for me personally, why would they may have created 7-figure businesses, but they're the last person I'm going to go seek guidance from, because I don't want to be unhappy, hating my clients.
Yeah, 100%.
And this is the thing. So when it comes to, understanding your own business growth and where you're at, and by the way, this is the interesting part. So with a human, it's kind of, you can standardly say that, from 0 to 6, they do milk, and then 6 months, from 0 to 6 months. And mind you, I'm not a mother. I could be so if any parents listening and I'm using this metaphor incorrectly, I do apologize. Just go with it. Just go beyond. It's purely a metaphor.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, though, to my knowledge, babies are on milk up until about 6 months, give or take. And then they go to solids, and that's sort of like and then after that, roughly when they're about 1-ish or whatever, they start to walk, and soon after they'll do the potty thing. It kind of escalates.
Yeah.
When they're 5, they go to school. Like, there's a process that most people follow. Now, in saying that, though, of course it differs from child to child. Like, I remember, mind you, I was brought up in Poland, and my grandma and my mum were with me constantly, and they spent hours doing all sorts of activities to help me develop all sorts of things. And I was on the potty before I was 1, and I was walking before I was 1.
Yeah.
So that may not be the super common thing out there, but it's possible. Same with your business. What I'm about to share with you, the stages in business, you could be in the early stages of business for 10 years. And it's not a time measure. It's actually what you haven't done yet to move up to the next level. If you want to fast track business growth, all you need to do is more of the activity. Yeah? So if you put more in, but you've got to put the right stuff in, you know. So for example, if my grandma and my mum hadn't have executed the right strategies in teaching me how to be potty trained at some ridiculous, I don't know, 10 months or 11 months or whatever it was, if they didn't know how to do it, you know, they didn't use the right strategy, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
So in business, it's about knowing what strategies, what actually to do. And if you want fast growth, it's honestly, guys, there's no magic pill. It's just friggin' more hard. There's a lot more work. That's all there is to it. And, you know, if you're lucky enough to have a fair bit of capital behind you, you can invest into other people helping you build it. If you don't have as much capital, you're going to have to roll up your sleeves and do a lot of the work yourself, and it can often take a bit longer. Or if you don't have the strategy, you can be stuck in a phase of growth for a very, very long time. So you could literally be stuck at the age of a 1-year-old, so to speak, for a decade, purely because no one taught you how to do the potty. No one taught you how to walk. Like, think about it, though. If we didn't actually spend time teaching a kid how to walk, do you reckon it would work it out itself? I mean, maybe it would. But if it had nothing to look towards, like, there's a lot of effort that goes into teaching kids certain things. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I wanted to share the first few stages of business and have a bit of a chat with you and get Quinton's insight. The very, very first stage of business, quite frankly, is birth. And this is where you've taken the risk. You're a bit excited at this stage. And, from this perspective, there isn't really a business yet. It's, you may either have a product or a service, but you don't have any clientele. You've sort of you've got a logo, you might have a Facebook page, you may have hired a space to work out of. Like, it's super early days.
I think we can compare that with setting up the room, getting all of the baby stuff ready, and your baby's not there yet, but you've already got the room in place, and you're expecting it. The moment that first client comes, the moment that first paycheck comes in, the moment it's going to boom, you're ready for it. Yep. And I think this is the perfect analogy for it.
And see, where a lot of business owners go wrong in this area is, they're often so excited that they're launching their dream that their focus is all about them. It's me, launching my dream, versus looking outwards at the business and going, I've just launched a baby business, and focusing everything onto the business and going, what does this little baby need? Does this make sense?
Yeah.
So with human beings, the truth of the matter is we're kind of lucky because nature does this cool thing to us, that when a woman gives birth, she gets drugged with an intense amount of oxytocin. Now, what this means is it's the love drug. It's when you feel love, this is what your body's releasing. And mind you, the women that don't release this end up having postnatal depression. So they're the ones that struggle quite a fair bit because they weren't drugged by their body. So because she's naturally drugged, she is going to focus all on the baby. And that's why the baby's got a chance to grow. For us in business, we need to understand that the focus needs to go onto the baby, onto the business. It's got to be all about the business. Everything you do has to be, what does this business need? You have to come second for a bit. And it's not that you come second, like, please don't misunderstand me, because of course your health, your well-being, you still need to look after yourself. It's just you've got to really inject a fair bit of love into the business. If you do this, you'll find that clients will come and you'll hit what's called infant stage. Infant stage in business, quite frankly, is, well, you're an army of one. It's all on you. You're the one doing either selling the thing, or let's look at service providers specifically here. You're the one doing the cool thing. So for argument's sakes, if you're a naturopath, you're the one that does the naturopath. You're the one that orders the naturopathy. You're the one that orders the products. You're the one that organizes your website and does your marketing and does your sales.
All these different hats. It's the admin person, it's the marketing person, it's the sales person, it's this person, it's the inventory person, it's the stocks counter. You're wearing all of these different hats. And
yep.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, some of those hats you suck at. You may suck at accounts. You may suck at, ordering products on time and keeping your stock, shelves filled with product that you need for your clients. You may suck at some of these things, but ultimately you're an army of one doing everything. No different to, I guess you could say, a single parent.
Yeah.
If a single parent was to come home and have no family, no support, and they've got to do it all themselves, it's pretty hard yards.
Yeah.
And it can be for a lot of business owners. And this is why a lot of business owners don't tend to last the test of time, because they don't get the support they need, either with information or with other people, leveraging networks, doing whatever they can to actually kind of create a little bit of an army, so to speak. Now, if you're sitting there and you are in infant stage, meaning your business is pretty new, what this means is cash flow is an issue. Your business at this stage takes more money from you than it gives you, meaning that usually in this stage of business, the money that's coming in goes straight back out. And often you're even pulling money out of your own pocket to keep the business going.
Yeah.
And this is totally normal. It's a normal stage of business. You're not a loser. You're not doing it wrong. It's just you're new. You haven't built a client base yet. You're just because you got yourself a shop and put a sign above it doesn't mean everyone's going to come. I laugh. I've got a friend, and Quinton and I have a mutual friend who decided to become a personal trainer years ago. And literally what she did was she opened up a studio, filled it with like $20,000 worth of gym equipment, and went, all right, where are they?
Yeah. The grand opening. Everyone should be here right now.
Why aren't they coming? Now, in this stage of business, the thing you need to know is your key here is marketing your ass off. It's going nuts and marketing as much as you possibly can, but doing it properly. It's making sure that within the marketing, you've also got something unique to offer. You're not just yet another naturopath. You want to be able to come in with some kind of point of difference, some kind of speciality, that's going to draw a certain kind of client to you. And you want to market as much as possible, which means you want to start becoming obsessed with marketing and implementing as much as you possibly can, and obsessed with sales so you can sell as much as possible. Usually, unfortunately, they don't do it. Instead, they'll sit there, they'll do a little bit, but they won't focus most of their time on marketing and innovating and selling, and they wonder why they get stuck at this stage, and they think, I must be doing it wrong, looking around, seeing other people succeed, feeling like they must be doing it wrong. And often the people they're looking at succeeding have been at it a lot longer than them, have passed this stage. What's your take on that?
Yeah, no, I want to add to that for the people listening and having that wishful thinking of, I'm going to open up a shop and I expect everyone to be, and you kind of think that you deserve that. But going into marketing doesn't mean going to online marketing. That stuff comes later. That comes when you actually can afford to start spending money on spreading your message, on reaching a broad audience. When you just open up your shop, your first shop, when you're just getting started, you want to start thinking about who can help you, who can leverage you, who do you know in your direct network of friends that can benefit from this, that you can help take them from a problem and take them to the promised land. So you can actually solve a problem for them. And I think if you go by that the more people you speak to and actually listening to their problems and offering solutions to their problems, if you can legitimately help them, that is how you're going to start spreading your market organically. That is how people are going to start talking about your shop around the corner and want to come and visit you. So don't think about here, this is the mistake that I've made when I've started my business, was I'm going to go online, straight away online. Guys, that is a very, very difficult road to go to, because when you go online, your reputation can be crushed in an instant. It can be taken away from you the moment, as quick as you get started. So when you first get going, you want to test the waters and you want to speak with those around you. You want to really start getting your support network in on this and start building up a good reputation. At the end of the day, your reputation is what matters. And so for those of you thinking like, cool, listening to this podcast, learning a tons about online, if you're at this stage, start offline. And if you go back to previous episodes, we speak about going for a swim in the ocean. You got to start small. You got to start at your local ponds or your local pools, your backyard pool, and really build up that skill. Really start getting to know your market, caring about them, and that's when you start listening and build up from there.
Yeah, exactly. And look, this is there an echo?
No, it's cool.
I heard it. Okay, all good. Yeah, so this is where, ultimately one of the best things you can do is self-promote, which means that when you're out and about talking to people, if there's a topic, if they say, what do? Don't just say, I'm a naturopath. Inject some passion into it. I'm a naturopath. I just opened up my, my new place down the road. I'm so excited. Have a chat about that. And you want to be able to transfer that enthusiasm over to others. You want to be able to voluntarily help people for free, initially when you're out and about. And when they see you giving generously of information, they'll want to come and see you, if they stir up a topic. So, don't make the mistake, and often I see this too, where someone might ask you, oh, look, I've got this problem. They'll go, like if they met you and you say, I'm a naturopath, and they're like, oh, I've actually got this problem. I tend to bloat a lot, and I fart a lot. My husband's getting mad at me, whatever, right?
He can't sleep. He's pissed off. He can't
sleep. That's right. It's really affecting our marriage. One mistake you can make is often thinking, well, you have to pay me to have that information. So what I often see is new businesses getting a little bit too cocky and arrogant, and in that moment, instead of saying, well, you know what, there's a few things you could do, we'd actually have to look deep as to what's going on. However, one thing you can do straight away is blah. Give them a tip, a pointer, educate them a little bit, give them some love for free, and it will have them want to come and do business with you. If you were to then tell them, which I see people do, oh, well, if you want, you can book in a session with me and we can have a look at that for you. They're not going to. I promise you, the chances of them doing that upon you just hitting them hard without really showing them your worth yet, does that make sense?
Yeah.
This is where have the passion, shine through you. What you do, should shine through you when you're starting out. And that's what has young businesses survive. If, the idea of they're passionate, they're in love with their first business, they can't help it, they just want to talk about it, they want to share it, they keep posting pictures up on Facebook about cool things that are going on. They will go to local businesses and have a chat with them and say, hi, I just opened up down the road, just wanted to say hi, I'm another local business, new local business owner in the area, just wanted to have a look at what you do, so I get my bearings, maybe I could potentially send some clients to you, and maybe you could to me, we could work something out. This is the kind of energy you want to have.
Yeah.
Ultimately, though, at infancy level, just get your new. No one knows you unless you've got a platform to begin with. Unless you're, unless you're launching a business to an already existing platform client base, no one knows you, and you need to get your name out there. So ultimately, too, with this, there's a few other issues here, but the biggest one here is make sure you understand you're now in the business of sales and marketing. You're not in the business of naturopathy. You need to become the sales and marketing awesome person. Yeah. If you do this, and you get marketing systems in place, and you've got clients coming in, you'll move to the next stage. The next stage is the child stage, and in the child stage, there's more money. However, in the child stage, it's seriously still a roller coaster ride. There are months that are great and months that are not. Usually in the child stage, you may even hire a staff member or two. Now, this is the problem in child stage, that you're growing, you're expanding. However, just because you hired a staff member or two doesn't make you a rock star. It actually means you've got to train these people. You've got to make sure that they do their jobs properly. They can actually F things up for you because now they represent your business. If they don't do something right, guess what? You can lose clients because they make dumb mistakes. And so this is where, as a child, you've still got a little bit of a cash flow problem because some months are great, so you're like, woohoo, and then you're like, oh, shit. You're staffing up now, and they're causing you troubles, or you could be churning through staff, or you could have very little patience to train your staff properly and wonder, God, why don't you just get this? Why can't you just be proactive and sort this shit out yourself? So in this stage, once again, the solution here is starting to systemize a little bit, where you do make sure that the systems and operations of your business have a structure so you can have your staff replicate them, meaning that you need to go, okay, how do I sell? How do I do a consult? How do I do this or this in my business? And you're going to teach the exact same thing to your staff member so there's consistency. So one client calls up, speaks to you, and your system for making an appointment is X. They call your staff member and they say, no, we can't do that. Can you see how that's a bit of a problem?
Yeah, it is. It's a bit of inconsistency, and it gives a very poor customer experience, and that's essentially your reputation that's going down with it. The previous stage, the infant stage, and this stage, the child stage, it kind of makes me think about when a newborn, when you've got newborn parents when the baby is newborn.
That's right, when the parents are newborn.
when they constantly take photos of their child and they're so excited, they just constantly publish those photos online. They're telling all their friends about my baby, my baby, my baby. They don't really care about someone else's baby as much anymore. It's more just mine. And people get sick of it after a while. If you keep talking about yourself and your baby, they go, oh, another photo of him being 6 months old or 6 weeks old and then 18 weeks. And those little cards.
It's even worse than that. It's 6 months and 1 day. 6 months and 1.5 days.
Yeah. That's all cool. And I'm happy for you and awesome. But after a while, can you see how people start getting annoyed? Because it's more... You're talking about yourself. And when you start getting into the next stage of hiring your first staff member, it's almost like taking your kid to your child to be taken care of by someone else. And
I like that.
You're getting caretakers in and babysitting, and you're telling the person on what they should be eating, what not to be eating, or your routine, your way of doing things, what time is nap time, so that the system doesn't get interrupted, so that there's a flow and there's consistency on when you come back. You can expect your baby to be in a similar state as to what you've left them. The routine hasn't been stuffed up, and that is the strategy of teaching the babysitter on how to look after the child when you're not around. So the same goes with your business. You need to train your staff members on how and why they should be doing it, and then essentially exactly how to do it. It's when you're so excited, you need to. It's easy to transition or to share that energy, that or all of that excitement to people when you start talking about your why, and that's what gets them on board. So in the previous episode, we spoke about that in depth. And that is what connects people.
8. Check out number 8.
Number
really
8.
Worth checking 8 out.
and that's why people start following you. That's why people show an interest. That is why your staff members would want to be part of it, be part of your business. And that is now up to you as the leader to develop them and help them get consistent outcomes that shows that your business is serving the clients in a consistent manner.
Yep. Brilliant. And the other thing too is being careful as well, because you know what? You can be a bit overexcited in sharing your business at the beginning, and you can sound a little bit like a crazy network marketer. So you want to avoid that too. So when I said share, what I mean by share is, there's two spectrums to this. There's not sharing at all because you're like, I don't want to draw attention to myself. Big problem if you're growing a business. Or the absolute opposite of that is oversharing, where people avoid you because they look at you as the annoying network marketer that just keeps trying to get them to do the thing. So this isn't about running around and selling. This is actually about running around and expressing excitement and giving value. Very different to look at my baby photo, look at my baby photo, look at my baby photo, which translates to buy my thing. Yeah. It's actually love what you do so much that when you're out and about and people ask you about it, speak about it with passion and give value from your heart generously, and you'll find that brings people to you. That show your expertise when you're out and about. People will be wowed by some of the cool stuff that you give them, and then they'll come to you. I think that was needed. I think that needed to be clarified.
Yeah, totally. Well said.
So ultimately, when you're at the child stage, this is where you could have been in business 3 to 5 years and you're at child stage, cool? And so this is where you may be thinking, why have I still got cash flow problems? It's normal because there's a lot of components that make up a business. There's lots of stuff in place. You need to make sure that that you understand the difference between revenue and profits. You need to make sure that your price points are actually the right price points. That your market, your expenses have been optimized, and you're constantly looking at ways to improve your systems, the way you bring clients in. You want to be able to create a tight machine, and it takes time to create a tight machine. You need to systemize. You need to make sure that your marketing is systemized. Yeah. At toddler stage, marketing is still a little bit scattered, meaning that you haven't developed what I call a marketing machine, where you've got certain things that you do religiously. They're always there to bring clients in, and you're growing and tweaking and improving upon that. So to grow from child stage onto the next stage is actually still marketing, sales, innovating. It's literally thinking, how can I do things better than everybody else in my industry? How can I create a better client experience? How can I make my offer even better? How can I solve my clients' problems even better than everybody else? How can I, label the things I do a little bit differently so I stand out in the crowd? It's expanding your marketing. It's getting awesome at sales. And when you do that, when you nail that, you actually grow into a teenager. A teenager, by the way, goes, woohoo, money. At teenager stage, and think of like a teenager in the sense of like, what's the attitude of a standard teenager? It's, I'm the king of the world. I can do anything. I am grown up.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to do my own thing. Or thank you, and then still go and do it their own way anyway.
That's right. It's free spirit. It's happy. It's it's out there living life. And so when a business gets to this stage, cash flow is not a problem. In fact, there's a lot of cash flow. However, the teenager's still not 100% sure of what revenue and profit means. So they're usually spending money they shouldn't be spending. They're overspending because they see all this money coming in, but they have no idea. Usually, their accountants do everything, and they don't know how to read a profit and loss statement. They often don't really know what's going on in the back end, and so they overspend. At this stage, this is where you buy your sports cars and and you go a bit nuts and buy your designer things. At this stage, though, this is where things shift. So where up until this point, everything that you've had to do has been market your ass off, learn how to sell, create and innovate within your industry, and systemize a little bit to actually move from teenager into an adult. The game changes a bit. This is where you actually need to work. So the reality is that what you've done's worked. The money's there. Yeah. So what you need to do now is you actually need to stop. And you need to stop and have a look at what's working and what's not as well. So usually teenage businesses have all guns blazing. They're doing a lot of stuff. They've got lots of stuff going on. They're, like from a marketing perspective, they could be blogging and vlogging and podcasting. They're doing all of it. They've got a million joint ventures, and they've gone quite nuts. Yeah. At this stage, you've actually got to slow down. To get to an adult, you've got to slow down and start to look at what is actually working and remove the stuff that isn't really returning that much on investment. And this kind of sucks because the teenager doesn't want to be told what to do. The teenager doesn't want to be told, well, no, what you're doing here, not necessary. There's stuff or return on this. This channel here is giving us the most return on investment. We need to focus our energy here and perfect and master this particular model. Yeah. So usually the teenage business gets a little bit like crosses their arms and don't tell me what to do. Yeah. Everything's fine. I've got lots of money. Friggin', I don't need to do any of this stuff until the money dries up.
Exactly. So it's like a teenager is out there. I remember my teenager is very rebellious, and It's actually in my teenager years where I've discovered my identity, and you start testing the boundaries on what you've been taught to believe, and that Facebook doesn't work, or Instagram is the way to go, or Pinterest is the next thing, or you should be on Snapchat, or you should be on Periscope. As a teenager, you're going to go, well, I'm going to go and experience all of this, and I'll do all of it because I've got all the energy, and I don't really care if someone told me not to go and do it. So that's where the whole overspending comes into play. It is really testing the waters, testing the boundaries of how far you can push the business. And oftentimes you're neglecting that core. If you don't have that strong core of that you can fall back to, then essentially you're going to fall back on your ass again. You're going to fall back being alone, being back at that infant stage where you have to just start building yourself up again. So take the teenager years very seriously. I mean, go have fun, go experiment, but really focus on your core. It's also oftentimes you wouldn't want to take advice when you're a teenager. Like, you don't really care what anyone is telling you. But as much as we're going to say, listen to some people who have results in it. It's also go and find your role models. It's a time when you start looking up to your role models, and that is essentially going to help you get to the next stage of adolescence, of growing up. It's when that puberty hits, then it's like hormones crazy. It is when the money starts coming in, you go crazy. You're like, fuck it.
And it's true. And as business owners, and if you're sitting here listening to this and you're in this stage, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. This is where you do lack systems because you friggin' rock star wing everything.
Yeah.
You know, you take risks. You know, you're courageous, and your risk taking has actually gotten you to success. You're brave and gutsy. You know, you unfortunately tend to fail to attend meetings. You know, you can. This is where you're a bit cocky and you're like, I don't need to do that. You get your staff to do stuff that you should be doing. You start to get a little bit big for your boots kind of thing. You know, this is where also, if you're in this stage, some of the things to look out for yourself is your accounting, so to speak, is sales focused, not profit focused, meaning that everything is about KPIs. Everything is about generating sales. It's all about sale. You haven't got a system to monitor profits, to actually understand profitability. So the problem here is that you have to change some of the stuff you're doing in order to grow into an adult. If you don't, you're going to find this is what sucks. Yeah. Teenage businesses go down. Guys, you go backwards. You can literally lose your whole business if you don't heed this warning. What you need to do at this point is stop the crazy shit, calm down, roll up your sleeves again, go back to work mode. So it's sort of like the teenager going to university versus, you know, the party's over, the holiday's over. You know, enjoy it for a bit, but then go back to school, so to speak. Hire a manager, have someone manage, because usually at this stage you need somebody else, you know, doing the detail for you, because it's going to break your heart to optimize and maximize certain things, in the sense of there's certain things in your business that you love and they're not profitable, and you don't want to let them go because you enjoy them. You need somebody else to actually kind of hold you back a little bit and say, well, no, have a look. This really isn't. You know, this is a nice hard chat with your accountant and having a look and measuring what's really going on. So it's about systemizing your business. It's about cutting out the stuff that's dead weight and then working to optimize all the stuff that got you the results in the first place, which is going to help you grow, scale, and profit and profit more.
Yeah.
And once you've done that, you actually move into adulthood. You know, and adulthood is actually an interesting stage of business. It's actually where things kind of like the excitement's not as like it's not that exciting. It's a little bit like it's smooth. You know, there's a lot of focus on systems, and it's kind of boring for most business owners, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
A lot of business owners find this part of business growth and the cycle a little bit boring because you're not innovating anymore. You know, in this level, you're still fine-tuning things. So you've got a manager, you're systemizing. You're now an adult. You've grown up. You're being responsible. You know, you're no longer partying to all hours of the morning, so to speak. You know, you're going to bed at a reasonable hour.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the boring part of business. And this is such a crucial part, because if you don't do this, you're not going to be able to make sure that everything that you've got is a working model that you can scale.
Yeah.
So what do I mean by scale? Scale is taking something and expanding it. It's, so what I'm looking for. It's a cool word from the tip of my tongue.
Leverage? Leverage?
Yes, leveraging. Yep, expanding and leverage. So if you know what works, you can duplicate it, you can expand it, you can leverage upon it. If you don't, if you're just winging it, you can't scale a business. So at at the adult stage, ultimately what you're doing is you're really looking through all the stuff, what works, what doesn't, where do we need to go and focus more of our energy, and it's kind of a stagnant spot. Do you get what I'm saying, Quinton?
Yeah. It reminds me of the adult stage is when they stop, they actually start looking at your reputation. It starts going on what you've done as a track record. When you also go as an adult, just in real life, people often have a different conversation with you. They go, okay, so where are you going next? What is the next things for you? And it could be a very confusing stage in your life where you don't really know what is the next thing. You might have gone to uni and been like, cool, don't like that, I want to do something else. This is the crucial stage in your business where, depending on your track record, this could be the point in time when you now start to explore with other avenues, to start reaching, to start scaling, to start using online as a platform to start reaching out. Prior to this, you don't really want to go online because you're still you're loose cannon. Hormones kicking in. You just want to do everything, and there's inconsistency. Your market sees that, and that damages your reputation. But when you start getting into adulthood, you want to start thinking about leveraging on where you are going and how can you reach more people. And that's basically what's coming to me when the next step is leveraging, scaling up.
Scale. Yep.
Yeah.
And this is where, a lot of the stuff you've done off and online marketing really needs to have a magnifying glass put on it to see, you need to measure the crap out of this stuff. And so this isn't about, this is a great idea, go anymore. It's no more ideas, no more innovations, stop. Let's have a look at what we've got, how we got here, what works, what doesn't. Cull the stuff that doesn't work, and I promise you're gonna find yourself going, but I want to do that thing, and it's just to keep growing. You can't scale. You have to be able to let some stuff go.
Yeah.
If you survive this stage, because you know that you are actually in business to create freedom and to create lifestyle and to have an asset that's going to provide you with lifestyle, it's worth surviving this particular phase, because once you pass this, you actually grow up. Your business is fully grown. And when it's fully grown, what that means is you're allowed to innovate again. You're allowed to have fun again. Because now what you're doing is you've learnt so much on the journey that you now know how to innovate within the frameworks that work within your business. You know how to go nuts and have fun. More importantly, though, you now actually know the difference between profits and revenue and profit. You actually know how much money you've got to spend. So you're not spending ridiculous amounts anymore and going, oh shit. You actually are profitable. You're taking money out, and you're able to use that ecologically. It's a beautiful place to be. This is where you've got the time, you've got the money, you've got the fulfillment. It was worth it. And you can hire staff because the systems are in place. And all you need to do is just hire somebody else, give them that system, and you can relax on holidays knowing that your business is taken care of. Well worth the effort.
Yeah.
Wanted to share this with you because it takes a little bit of time to grow up in business, and every business is different. Some businesses take a decade to get here. Some, honestly, take 20 years. Some take 5 years. It's different for many different businesses. So I'm not going to tell you that, it's going to definitely take you 10 years. And there's a lot of people out there that would. They'll tell you that when you look at overnight successes, you don't see that they've been at it for 10 years. Ultimately, though, often it does take about 10 years to have a fully grown business because of the machine that needs to be built around it. And depending on how much time you put into it and to maintain that grown-up stage. This gift that we wanted to give with this particular podcast was to let you know that as you grow, And regardless of if you're in the stage of child and, you got money one week and you're like rich one month and not as rich the next month, or if you're in teenager stage and you're like, woohoo, and you're probably overspending and going, this is never going to end, and whatever stage you're at, we wanted to give you this gift of this is what you need to do to grow to move forward and not end up falling backwards.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you're in teenage stage and you've literally, you'll know if you're in trouble in teenage stage when you've had lots of money going on for a while and all of a sudden start to dry up. That's your warning sign of red alert, red alert, red alert.
Yeah.
It's time for you to get back in the game and stop being a friggin' child and stop being a loose cannon and get back to work. That's my take. I wanted to share this. The reason why this morning, or this afternoon actually, or just before the podcast, it was about, half an hour before the podcast, I was scrolling through Facebook and I read a blog that was posted by one of my good friends and mentors, Alice, about, what a business has in common with a child. And so she was touching on this type of stuff and it stirred up like a bit of fire in me. And I thought, you know what? I even posted what I call a rant on Facebook.
It was a love note.
It was a love note, apparently. So it turns out I can't rant. I'll work on it. You know what? We all have our genius. Admittedly, though, it was my first rant. My first attempt at a rant.
It was cute.
Anyway, the point is, it's just I'm so sick of seeing people go into business and struggle in their first few years and feel like they're the problem, feel like, they're doing it wrong, they're a loser, they're not made out for it. If you want to make this happen, of course you can. Believe in yourself. Just understand that cash flow is a normal issue in business. Time, lack of time is a normal issue in growing a business. They're normal, no different to a new parent having cash flow and time issues. And a business owner does too. And to me, it's the greatest gift I can give you because as soon as you know what, this is normal, you can stop worrying about it and focus your energy instead of worrying about it onto marketing, onto being the best business owner you can be, onto becoming a sales and marketing awesome expert.
Yeah. It makes me think, what comes after adulthood? What is the next stage? Do you make another baby?
Yeah, you can. So you can indeed. So grown up, you mean like fully grown?
Yeah, exactly.
The fully grown stage. You can sell your business at the fully grown stage. This is where it's going to give you the most return. So the two stages you should sell a business at are either at teenage stage. People will pay to buy its potential, meaning that they it's gotten to a teenage stage. It's churning over the monies, and they'll buy the business purely because it's a sound investment. It's got a great chance of growing and winning. Or at fully grown up. Yeah. Where it's fully grown and this baby is locked and loaded. All you got to do is literally here's the model. It's all there. It's all systemized. You can't go wrong here, and the people come with it. So you can sell it. Or you can create another one. So a lot of people that get to this level, depending on their nature, you can either chill out and enjoy the fact that you've got time and money. Or if you find that, you've done that for a while and you're bored, have another baby.
Look at all the babies that Richard Branson has. He's got many of them.
Yep.
So, guys, there you have it. That's all the stages of moving through with as a human life cycle. We're not going to talk much about death and what happens after that. But you guys get the idea. It's everyone goes through similar challenges, similar struggles, and it's whether or not you allow others to give you advice, to give you to give help where help is needed. Or you can go the hard yards and do it yourself. And again, that basically builds another character. Not saying that you will succeed or you will fail. It's entirely up to your way of persevering and knowing and being strong enough connected with your why. I think this has been an amazing episode. We kind of dived in it very quickly. with not much little getting into it. So let's finish it off with wine. I mean, we are the wine show. Gabby, what are you sipping on?
Oh, shock horror! I've gone to the old and faithful Oyster Bay, Sauv Blanc. Doing my Oyster Bay, loving my Oyster Bay. Go Oyster Bay.
Cheers.
And yourself?
I actually went to the bottle and I looked at this. I looked at different types of wine, and I'm all about storytelling. I mean, I strongly believe that inspiring stories, telling inspiring stories, can change the world. So I looked at bottles of wine and I got this one, and as you can see, I got.
Oh, it's cool! It's like a comic book.
Yeah,
thing.
I'm gonna put a photo of this up for you guys on the website. It kind of tells a bit of a story, like a comic book, and that's cool. I connected with that straight away. It's a Shiraz from the Barossa, lovely wine. If you guys know anything about red wine, apparently you need to drink it by room temperature. But I'll give you one little hint: room temperature in Australia is not the same as room temperature in France, in the castles. Today is 36 degrees. Do not drink red wine at room temperature. Put it in the fridge for half an hour before you open it up. The flavors will...
Spoken from current experience, I take it.
Exactly.
Guys, awesome hanging out with you. Thanks for tuning in. Really, really trust that you got some value and hope that you got some value from that. And we'll heed the advice and do the cool shit needed. And let's chat again next time.
Thanks, guys. You've been awesome.
Thank you, Quinton. You've been awesome. Thanks, peoples. Bye.
Ciao. Bye.
You've been listening to Marketing with Vino. If you enjoyed this episode and want to access the resources discussed in this episode, go to marketingwithvino.com and select which episode you've listened to.